Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Biters, the podcast for AMC's The Walking Dead. I am one of your hosts, Jeff Marsick, screenwriter and comic book writer of the independently produced comic book Z-Girl and the Four Tigers. And with me is...
Kirk Manley, illustrator and graphic designer, as well as comic book artist and illustrator of aforementioned Z-Girl and the Four Tigers comic book.
And this week is a huge week for us because this is the season 4 finale.
Finale, baby. I can never spell that word. I can't spell lots of words, but that one I always fuck up. Isn't it supposed to have one of those asante goo things or something?
One of those umlauts?
Or what the hell is an umlaut? Wait a minute, can I get a mushroom and cheese umlaut? Is that?
It's the letter, the German letter with like the two dots over.
I love when you go to the buffets and they have those umlaut stations. Those are awesome, man.
You get yours with cheddar cheese and broccoli.
Yeah. Broccoli? Who has broccoli? No way.
People who don't know Kirk can butcher like the name Smith. He can put like an accent.
Smith.
Jeff, are you talking about the Jeff Smith?
It looks like Smith to me.
There's a just innumerable comic artists and writers that Kirk will always reference. Hey, did you see the new comic by Stuart Immonen? You mean Stuart Immonen?
Hey, don't you rag on Stuart. He's my boy.
He is your boy, but you can't say his name.
We are going to pay for doing this at 10 o'clock at night, man. I'm way too old to be doing this at 10 o'clock at night. I'm sitting here in granny pants. I'm ready for bed. Game over. I got to change my bag. You know, it's like I'm...
My sister-in-law lives right now in Cambria, California, which
that
apparently
one I can't
is like
spell for sure.
Yeah, no, you can't. It's like north of San Francisco, I think, and it's where old people go. It's like gray hair
to die
west. Yeah. But she was telling me about, she's got this little, her son is like 1.5, and she talks about how like it's an older community, and so when she goes to CVS out there, she's like, do you have diapers? And they're like, only the adult kind. And all I can think of is like, this is where Kirk is gonna...
That's right. Just put me on one of those boats, light it on fire, and just shove it right out into the water. Like a Viking funeral.
Oh my Lord. So yes, we are recording this at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Normally we do this at noon, but my job got in the way today, so here we are. So the season finale. Before we get into it, just like I do every week, the numbers. Wow, they not surprisingly they killed it. Walking Dead averaged 15.7 million viewers, which was a finale best.
Boom.
That's right, and it's just 400 shy. Seriously, 400 shy. We couldn't have like pressed higher. Disappointed in every Walking Dead fan out there. That's just 400,000 viewers shy of the previous all-time record, which was the 16.1 million premiere.
Premiere of what, season 1, like the very first premiere, or?
No, the fall, season 4.
Oh.
We had 16.1.
So that's still the largest grossing. So I wonder if season 5 premiere will beat it.
Oh, dude, you know it's
especially with this cliffhanger and this the season 4, hands down. You got to admit, right? Top best installment, season 4. Don't you think?
You know, I got to say that for all the critique that we've leveled at, that I've leveled at it. Yeah, for the most part, I think that it was the most consistent and the best writing of all the seasons.
I agree. I think best written of the and most consistent. I mean, really, even though we nitpick and we critique, really there was only 2 bad apples in the entire 16 episodes, and those are the 2 governors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, every episode had great story and good acting and awesome effects and tied everything together. There were weaker ones, stronger ones, everything else. But overall, I mean, obviously Scott Gimple is the right man for the job.
Absolutely.
They've gone through their fair share of showrunners, but they seem to have landed on the right one. So, yeah, I think that combined with the cliffhanger ending, we're definitely going to have a big premiere in October. So,
there was a lot of people were tuning into this episode too because Kirkman had been pimping it up pretty much. It had been pimping up a lot, and they had set a precedent that basically every finale so far, someone was going to die. There was going to be a big death that was going to happen.
Right.
So you had a lot of people tuning in, probably see who was going to die. I personally didn't subscribe to that, and I actually I don't think that I think it's a sign of poor writing if that's if you're always resorting to a gimmick.
Absolutely, and I think they realized that.
Yeah,
and they played on the fact that people thought that's what was going to happen, and they tried to nurse it. Like the foreshadowing with Maggie and Glenn and the burning of the picture, and I mean, just stuff like that was just making everybody be like, "Oh, they're gonna go," or "This guy's gonna go," and yeah, I agree. And then they pulled the fast one and said, "Nope, nobody's gonna go this time."
Well, it's funny when you watch the Twitter sphere and all the comments going around, and I mean, and we've said it here before. You're not going to touch Rick. You're not going to touch Daryl because you're going to lose. Let's see, 15.7 million viewers. You're going to lose 8.4 million women. If you kill Daryl,
there'll be a couple million men in there too.
We lost the entire. We just lost the entire West Coast. Kill Daryl, you lose. No.
Is my burning boat those ready yet?
What?
Is my burning boat ready yet? My funeral.
So there's characters that you're not going to touch, and there was a lot. I think a lot of people saying, "Oh, Beth's not going to go because that's a mystery that we need to solve, and you can't wrap it all up." I just want to go back to the numbers real quick, and it was, if you go year over year, if you go from last season's finale to this season's finale, 3.2 million more viewers watched this one than watched last year. And of course, the
3 million. Did you say? I'm sorry.
3.2. Yep.
Wow.
Jumped 3.2 million. And
so the premieres consistently do better than the finales.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, they've got so the numbers here is the season 4 premiere did 16.1 million viewers. The mid-season, and it gets all messed up when you have this mid-season finale and premiere and blah blah blah. So we started season 4 with 16.1 million viewers. The finale on December 1st was 12.1. We jumped back up to 15.8. When we came back from that hiatus, and then we finished the season with 15.7. So basically, we finished this second half of the season with what we started the second half of the season with, which is pretty impressive. Someone's got a chart out there too. Somebody put a chart together of like the viewers, how it's gone, and let's just say that if that was a stock, I mean, you'd be leveraging the house to buy.
Actually, I started watching and started following AMC stock, and right now it's at 74.35. When I started watching it was at 68. And let's see what the opening, the low, the high has been 74.46. It's now 74.35.
Yeah,
the 52. I'm sorry, that was today. The 52-week high is 78, so it's actually in the 52-week low is 59. So it's creeping back up to its highest level.
Well, they've got what do we got? 2 weeks. We've got the season. I don't think you watch it, but I do. The last season of Mad Men starts.
Right.
So this is their.
And they have a couple of new shows coming too, right? That are potentially going to be cutting edge, and I can't remember what I heard about that.
Well, we know it's not going to be the mafia or the Mob City.
What was his name?
Glenn was it Glenn Mazzara?
No.
It was
Grey Poupon. Grey Poupon is all I can. Oh, what the heck is his name? Can't remember his name. The guy that he
late.
actually created it.
Yeah. Hold on, What did we ever do without iPads? I mean,
I know, right?
do you remember the days? I know you do, Frank Darabont. I remember you remember the days of encyclopedias, but I mean,
it's crazy. You just didn't know, you know. You just couldn't, you know. You didn't confirm, you know, in conversations like this. You just
made stuff up and sounded authoritative.
Looked it up later, and then you looked it up later, and then by that time nobody cared anymore, you know.
You just sounded smart and all right. So
wait a minute. Did you see the April Fool's joke? The Walking Dead comic that Kirkman put out he put out an image. I think it was through Facebook, and it was supposedly it was like an announcement. It was on their actual website, thewalkingdead.com, and it was, you know, Daryl finally joins the comic book, starting with issue 129, and it had a cover, and it has this guy standing with the vest with his back to the screen. It's done by Adler.
Okay.
And he's holding the guy down on his leg, on the ground, and he's got his crossbow on his hip, and on the back of his vest are the wings. And it looks, I mean, it looks like the real deal. And I was like, holy cow, they're going to really do this? I can't believe they're going to do this. And so I tweeted it, and a lot of people tweeted back. They said, no, it's just an April Fool's joke. And there was an original piece of art by Adler of Dwight with a shot from the back. And they took that art and they put the wings on it and then recolored it and then put it on a cover. And but it was pretty convincing. So it was pretty funny.
Well, that's the problem with today, is that I don't take anything that appears on the internet seriously. I mean, today could be, you know, aliens could actually be landing on the planet, and I wouldn't take it seriously. It'd be a hoax. So that's the unfortunate thing about today.
Yeah, I agree. The internet is an amazing thing, but it can be it's so much more readily manipulated. You were just talking about before. You know, if you had to go to the library and look something up in an official, encyclopedia, there was no question. You know, you go now to Wikipedia, and that information is put up by people just like you and me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. I think overall, though, the access to so much more information outweighs that one negative. You know.
Yeah.
I still think it's a plus. I think overall, you gain more than you lose.
All right.
Let's get started. So, what'd you think?
Digression aside, let's talk the finale here. I think there's a lot of good in this episode. It didn't blow me away as a finale. I will say this: it is a much better season finale than the series finale that was How I Met Your Mother. But I'm sure that's a completely different digression. But if this was an episode during the season, I thought it would have been great. I just didn't like it as a finale, and we'll dissect it coming on. But I thought it was, for me, it was good, but it wasn't great.
I thought it was awesome. I gave it 4.7 headshots. What are you giving it for headshots?
4.7.
That's when you get
you don't want to take it out to the hundreds at all.
Brain, you get an eye socket, you get a little tip of the ear. That's about 4.7. You get the whole ear with 4.8.
I'm gonna go with a 4.04 rating.
Dude, this is gonna be
taking out to the hundreds.
This is gonna be our first 2-hour podcast. You better tell Rob to get the scissors out and do some serious editing on this bad boy.
Our super fan Kathleen, she's gonna be howling for 2 hours.
I know. she's gonna get written up at work.
Straight jacketed.
That's right.
All right.
So you gave it what'd you give it? 4.5, you said?
4.04. Just
4.04. Yeah. Oh, now we're getting into decimals?
I'm taking it out to the hundreds.
My daughter up. She's gonna say I can't do math. Come on. It's bad enough I gotta spell. Now I gotta do math too. this show's too demanding. I can't do it anymore.
That's it.
I'm
He's
done.
He's throwing his headset down. He's done.
It's bedtime. Good night. Okay, 4.0. All right. Well, you're still in the fours. That's good. Out of 5, that's still a pretty high rating.
Yeah, I mean there were good aspects about it. There were I just that and we'll talk about it. We'll get into it. What's your? Let's start off like we always do. What's your what did you like about the episode? What was your good?
The good, my good, bad, and ugly. My good. I thought it was action packed, but still lots of story and character moments. It wasn't just one or the other. A lot of times I think we're looking for an action packed finale. Take the governor charges the prison or whatever, sure. And this had action in it, some intense action. But it also had lots of good story and character development as well. So I liked that balance. It was the first time out of the 3 or 4 times we've seen Carl and Michonne that I thought that their relationship was finally starting to work for me. Mm-hmm. It felt forced before. It felt real this time. I know you felt that it was getting there with the train tracks last week. I still was not that comfortable with it, but today in this episode it clicked for me, and I think it was because it became clear that this was a nurturing relationship that was evolving. It wasn't before. Was she trying to be his friend, his buddy? And no, she's now a surrogate. She's a surrogate mom figure.
Right.
She's, and that's working for both of them because she lost her child and he lost his mother. And I just thought that they really kicked it with that on this in this episode, and it really clicked for me. I liked the way they wrapped up kind of the season's overall theme about, can you come back? Really, they've been kind of asking that the whole season, and I think that with what happened with Rick and everything, it's and the way that they told the story with flashbacks to Herschel and stuff, the message is just no. You don't really ever come back from this. You in order to survive, you got to sometimes become a monster, and that's okay because that's what this world demands now. And I thought that was cool. That it wasn't just kind of like they pursued that during the season and then didn't really kind of address it. But I thought they did, and I liked that. I was so glad that we didn't see Beth. I agree with you. You said earlier about how that, they need to keep that mystery. I thought they did a good job by not bringing her back. I'm sure there was a lot of temptation to answer that question, but same thing with Tyrese, Carol, and Judith. I loved having that was an unknown. I also thought jumping to a different point here that they really thought through so much in terms of even just the timing, like the way that the groups arrived at Terminus, and it all made sense based on what happened in their individual events, and with Tyrese and Carol and the girls stopping at the Grove for that extended stay, it makes sense now that they would come late, So I thought that was really cool. I loved the Daryl and Rick bonding at the car. Daryl trying to make him feel better by, telling him that, anybody would have done that in this kind of situation. Of course, everybody knows no.
Right.
Not everybody would have been able to do that. So that was cool. And then him calling him brother was great because they've just really done so well with all of them, I think, in this back half of this season 4 of giving us character development. Daryl he's heroic and he was cool and he was badass, but he was really one-dimensional. Right. He was a little bit more two-dimensional when he had his brother around, but since he lost the brother, he was really one-dimensional, and they really worked at that, and I just felt like this guy was just so much more of a complex character, and it was great that he'd won Rick's respect, and Rick and he were now kind of on a different level than they ever had been. I was really glad to see Team Rick. I call it Team Rick, but Rick, Michonne, Carl, and Daryl scout Terminus out. We've talked about this the last 2-3 I mean, come on. I mean, thank God somebody was. Why the others didn't? They're just, I don't know, but that was the way to do it. You don't. But again, I think they did it this way because they really wanted to show Rick has changed. This is now a new Rick. He's going to do whatever he has to do. He's not going to hesitate. He's not. You know how you always would talk about. It really bothered you how this guy would vacillate between what to do. I don't think that Rick is there anymore. You know what I mean? This is a new Rick, and I thought that scouting out Terminus was part of that. It was like, look, I've been burned before. We're not going to be burned again. Of course, it didn't work out too good, but but it was still the right way to do it. I thought the guy Gareth was great. The new character, I thought he was cool. I thought he was in control. He seemed smart. Seemed like a great adversary or possibly ally. We'll see what's going to happen with that. But those were my goods. What about you?
Yeah, I echo a lot of that. One of the first things that sticks out in my mind about this episode is Rick, and Rick's been a thorn in my side for seasons.
4 seasons.
Yeah, pretty much. I've the actor Andrew Lincoln really doesn't do much for me. I don't like the way he portrays the character. I don't like how they've been writing the character. But the last couple episodes, he's started. You know what it is? I think it's the jacket. Ever since he's been wearing that fur collared jacket, like this is the Rick that I like in the comic books. This is the Rick that I can see as a leader here, and I agree that I'll tip my hand a little bit. One of my bads is that I thought there was too much flashbacking. I get why you did that. It was, remind the reader or the viewer that that this is the process that Rick went through. The reminder that that he was under the old Rick was, hey, under Yoda Herschel, which was. You don't always have to have guns. You can put your guns away and be a farmer. We can live like this, and you don't have to be the monster, like you said. In this world, you can still be a human in this world, and it was necessary to show that so that we can show that basically this episode was Rick molting off of out of all of that. This is, like you said, this is new Rick. This is going to be.
Well, they were showing that Herschel was wrong.
Right. It was interesting too watching Twitter blow up when you saw Herschel. There's such fan love for Scott Wilson and for the character.
Absolutely. Let me just interrupt for 1 second. There's a great comic book website, Comic Alliance. Yeah. I'm sure you're familiar with it. I go to them a lot. They had a review of the thing, and I just wanted, since you talked about it, they talked about Herschel. They said they talked about that opening scene in the flashback, and the Charger comes. I think it's a Dodge car comes flying up, and they get out.
Nice product placement. I almost tweeted that. I was like, nice product placement.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Dodge, right near...
Well, at least it wasn't all polished and clean. You know?
Sure.
And Herschel's there to greet them, noting that Maggie is a sight for sore eyes, right, is what he says.
Right.
And this reviewer says, so noting that Maggie is a sight for sore eyes. No, dude, you are the sight for sore eyes, you ponytailed Yoda of the wasteland. And I immediately thought of you because you're always calling him Yoda.
But I like the evolution that they showed, that they showed Rick had come here, and that's important because he's finally that leader that this group needs, and he's been the de facto leader up to this point, and I've never bought it. I buy it now. I get it. Now I'm along with it. I like the directing of this episode, and the director of this episode was Michelle. I believe
it was a woman,
Michelle.
right?
Yeah, Michelle McLaren, who she comes from. Well, she's done a lot of stuff, but she comes from Breaking Bad.
I was just going to say Breaking Bad, yeah.
And she did the highly regarded episode Tahaj Ali, which was towards the end of the run there. But she did a great job on this. Rick's tactics about coming into Terminus again. Like when I saw that happen, I was like shouting at the TV. That was genius. I think he should have, I still think he went in a little fast. He spent a little more time scouting the place out, but that's a minor detail. Whatever.
I liked how he buried the guns. That was cool.
Yep.
That's coming back.
Oh yeah. So, I like that stuff. I mean, that was finally we're at Terminus. Finally we get to see what this place is all about, and that was the. And I like too that even though there were the flashbacks in there, which I thought we could have ramped back. Within those flashbacks were some cool scenes, some cool things that we didn't see before. I liked that when Rick was walking down the prison hallway or the cell floor there, and he sees there's that adult guy who's playing with the Legos. You know. Meanwhile, there's Carl over at the table, cleaning a 9mm,
and he was using a coloring book as his pad.
Yeah. That was I liked the little things like that. We hadn't seen those things before.
I think it was also a tip of the hat to everybody to try and here you got Herschel, who everybody really was so. Emotionally damaged by when we lost. You've got Beth, who's missing. She's back. It was a chance in the season finale to kind of, get everybody, the family back together one last time.
Yeah, it was so weird. It was so weird. It was kind of surreal almost when you see them.
Yeah.
Again, Herschel. You see Herschel there, and he's fine, and
it made it so much more powerful for them, and I'm so glad that they did it this way by showing other people around. Like showing Beth, showing Tyrese, showing it wasn't just let's get Herschel guy back, the actor Herschel Scott Wilson back, and do these couple shots in the garden with just him and Rick talking. There was so much more emotional impact to seeing the whole prison setting, because it was, oh my gosh, this is what they lost. Look what they're going through now. They're sitting in a freaking, can getting ready to be eaten. Maybe they've been through hell. They've had to shoot children. They've had to, it's like, what a difference, so.
Yeah. And it was a tight episode. I liked that they didn't, as we talked about already, that I liked that they didn't have to resort to the typical gimmick of killing somebody, even though that's what we were led to believe that was that was what was going to happen. So, but I like that they didn't.
I agree. I absolutely. We talked about this already, so I won't beat a dead horse. But also don't forget, 2 episodes ago we lost both Lizzie and Mika.
Right.
And 4 episodes before that, or 5 episodes or whatever before that, we lost Herschel. So there's there had been a lot of cast lost already, in this back half. So, but I was shocked too. I thought for sure we were going to lose people.
All right,
my bad. My bads are picayune, but they're just little things, but.
Picayune,
annoying. Nothing big. I can't. Overall, I love the episode.
Nut? A picayune?
Picayune. Yeah, that's when I do when my nose is stuffed. But class. What a class act, huh?
Yeah, everybody who's listening to this didn't have to just see that on Skype that I just witnessed. Awesome.
The reunion in the rail car should have been more. I know what they were trying to do. They wanted it to be a kind of a surprise. It looked like they were going in there alone, but those people wouldn't have just been hanging back in the shadow, when they were throwing in new people. Someone would have been running the door, you know what I mean, trying to get. They're locked inside there,
Absolutely.
That was a little. I mean, they had to come up with some sort of a way to get that scene that they got, to have it be the ending, and had to get them all together and had to be in a situation. So I understand what they're trying to do, but it was really hard to swallow that it would have gone down that way. Secondly, here are all these people that they thought were dead.
Yeah.
I mean, that's they step out of the shadows, and Glenn's like, Rick? And it's like, dude, you thought Rick and Carl and Michonne were dead.
Exactly.
Here they are standing in front of you. Why aren't you like running over to them? You know what I mean? They should have all been in like, psych, we're gonna get eaten, but at least we're all together. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
So that bugged me a little bit. The big, probably the number one criticism, and I suppose I can't fault the show because I probably wasn't there in their control. But when they replaced the F-bomb that said in the book with the word screwed, the whole thing just fell apart for me.
Oh, Rick's line at the end.
It was like, they're going to be surprised or whatever. They're, blah, blah, blah. And Abraham's like, what are you talking about? When? And I'm like, yeah, and he goes, they're screwing with the wrong people. I said, Mike, that's how my grandmother talks. That's how that's how my mother-in-law talks, when she wants to square. It's like, And it was funny. I watched a little bit of the Talking Dead, and Gimple and Lincoln were on, yep. And they were talking about that. And I guess they shot it like 3 or 4 takes with him using the F-bomb. And he said, it was like, this is like, yeah, and then they had to do that way as well. And then of course, I guess, the censors, what's his name that runs the Nerd Quest guy or whatever, what's the guy who runs Talking Dead?
Chris Hardwick.
Chris Hardwick. He asked point blank, why didn't you do that? And they were like, because of the censors.
Yeah.
So, but I just find it so ironic because
but they
cut off people's heads. They had a young boy get assaulted and almost raped. You got a guy biting off a piece of his neck in the same episode. But you can't say the F word, one time. So I was very disappointed by that. Some of the foreshadowing was starting to get a little heavy-handed. The animal trap sequence, where he talks in the beginning. Yep. It was kind of almost beat you over the head with it, don't you think?
Yeah. I tweeted as soon as he said it there was no reason for him to go out and explain to Carl about the little rabbit trap and the snare trap,
right?
And the little path that it goes. And dude, you just completely explained what's going to happen here.
Right.
That's Terminus. You just gave the analogy.
Yeah.
And they've done this before. They've done it a couple times during the season, and we've talked about it. And it's why don't do that?
They don't. Yeah, I don't mind it a little bit, but yeah, that was a little heavy-handed. I agree. What was the deal with the lone survivor getting eaten by the horde in the woods? What was the significance of it? Why did we have to have it? Why would this guy be out there alone? It's just like there's these once in a while they have these arbitrary humans show up out of nowhere. Here we are. They walk for miles, don't see anybody. Then all of a sudden they come across the hitchhiker guy and pass him because it helps the story.
Right.
They come across in the Governor episodes that big camp of people that then gets wiped out later. Like, what the heck? We didn't know about these camp. We didn't hear. They're living right next door. It's like I don't get why they do that, and I didn't understand the significance of it in this story. Why was that important?
I'm asking. I watched it twice, and it didn't make made no sense to me.
They're talking at that point. They're talking about the fact that are they going to explain to people what they've done? He says, I think it's at that point, right? Or something. Or no, maybe it's at the trap when they're doing the trap.
The trap was before that.
Yeah. I don't know. They're having the whole conversation with the three of them was kind of like, are we monsters now? Can we be with other people? Do we share that? Do we accept it as part of us? Do we resist it? Is it okay? Blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, there's a scream out and Carl goes running to go see what it is and then try to help. And Rick is like holding him back. And then we watch the guy get chewed up alive. First of all, if you're surrounded by a bunch of zombies and I think he had a bat or something, you don't sit there and try to slug it out with him. You run. You know what I mean? So
and I didn't like that Carl would run, given everything that these guys have been through, that Team Rick has been through. Why would Carl run towards the scream and try to I think
it was we're still humans. We're still people. We're still caring people that if we hear people in need or in help, we're going to try and help them. Because we're still good people, even though we do bad things.
It would have been more believable to me.
But they didn't help the guy. The poor sad sack got chewed.
And it would have made more sense to me. Like curiosity and like, oh, let's check it out. But I don't see them running to. Yeah. I mean, especially since when you do run to somebody, or find somebody, you're not embracing of that person. Hey, dude, you're on your own. Dude, you got to join us. Together we can be popular.
Right.
You got to go through the 3 questions.
Right.
You got to do this.
Right.
They don't trust anybody. But yet you're going to run to somebody who's screaming in help. It doesn't make sense to me. If anybody, I would think that if anything, given what Carl has seen, that he's going to be more jaded than like the adults. The adults, I could see Rick maybe going, but so yeah, I had a problem with that scene.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the reason for it, the need for it. It felt arbitrary and almost kind of like, oh well, we have very little zombies in this episode, so let's throw one in. Right. I don't know. Maybe I missed it. If anybody out there listening to us has a great explanation for why they would choose to have done that scene, please enlighten us, because I was at a loss. Those were my bads, which again I ramble on about them, but they were minor. I mean, they certainly did not, with the exception of the F-bomb, which sadly was the final closing scene, but. Other than that, I thought those were minor points.
Yeah, that was the first thing that hit me too. Was as soon as you get into the boxcar and you see this group, and it's just like, oh hey, Glenn, Maggie, oh there you are, and it was just like it echoed my thought of last week when it was the whole Maggie and Glenn, they get together and they do kissy face, and then 5 minutes later it's just like, hey woman, what up? There's
but at least they did kissy face.
That's true.
I mean, there was no kissy face here. I mean,
there was no emotion. These guys, and that's
plus. Hello, Maggie. Did you even ask once about Beth?
Yeah.
I mean, has anybody seen my sister? What the hell?
Yeah, and again, it just goes to show, as annoying as it is, because I love the actor and I love the character from the comic book, but just what an idiot Abraham is. Because again, yeah, you're right. You brought up a good point. If they're already in the boxcar, as soon as that door is open, dude, rush it and get out. And it was kind of forced. I also had a problem with we commend Rick and the team for how they gained access to Terminus. It was a smart way to get in there. But yet, when they're on the run and bullets are coming at them, they ran through an entire, like they had a defensible position. Like they go in a door into a warehouse and they go running out the back door out of the warehouse. Dude, set up shop in that warehouse and defend your position like you're running into.
Yeah, but then they just get weighted out. You run out of ammo eventually. You know what I mean? Their hope was that they were going to find some sort of exit, and clearly that was not the first time the termites, which is what I'm going to call Terminus people.
Nice, well done.
I stole that from Talking Dead. Actually, it's Andrew Lincoln. The termites had obviously done this many times before.
Yeah.
And I'll that'll bring me back to some theories that I have, but at the end here. But they were clearly being rounded up and herded into the slip knot of the snare. Yeah.
Well, the other thing too that was, and you brought it up as well, was I can relax on the not using the F-bomb inside the boxcar, but it's just. It's a hollow bravado when Andrew Lincoln sits there or Rick has this look on his face, just well, they just mess with they screw with the wrong people. Dude, you're in a boxcar without any weapons. I don't think so.
I know.
It was laughably bad.
I feel bad because this show, they had to come up, they had to get them captured, so that there's that cliffhanger, but they also wanted to use this moment for that, that not explosive, but that emotional statement by him to kind of cement this fact that Rick is now different. Rick is now, leader Rick. And,
right.
and I feel bad because if in the comic, if I recall, they were in Gabriel's church and they know that they're being watched by the hunters, and then they get shot and attacked, and somebody gets wounded, and they bring him back into the church and lock it up, and then they say, well, they didn't kill him, but they did that on purpose because they want us, they want us scared and they want us not thinking or whatever. And that's, I don't remember, I'm pretty sure this. And then Rick turns around and you got Michonne and Abraham both looking badass behind him, and he's like, well, they screwed up because they don't know who they're messing with,
And now that is a wholly more acceptable situation.
Absolutely. He's taking that stance from a point of almost equal with the bad guys. I mean, they've got their own base, they've got their own people they can set up, make a plan, they can take action, blah blah blah. You're right. He's stuck inside a prison cell with no weapons, going, man, just wait, man.
You let me out of here. I'm gonna kick your ass.
I'm gonna mess them up, man. So, exactly. But anyway, go ahead.
So my only other bad was the whole resolution with Joe and the Claimers, which sounds like a 50s band.
That's your bad. That's one of your bads.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Well, because it was too fast. I think it's because I just developed such a liking for the actor and the character, and I wanted that to develop more. Yeah. And it just seemed, we know that this was issue 52, 53 in the comic book, and it plays out pretty much, panel by panel what happened in the comic, which is fine.
Not really, but I mean, in terms of the assault, it does, but it's a very different setup.
But I wanted more out of that. I wanted more conflict. I wanted more build up, and then what Rick has to, what Rick does to defeat Joe. Basically, right. Biting his neck. Okay, well that's cool, and the horror that was going to happen to Carl. I get all that. But I wanted more setup, and it just seemed like we just came to a conclusion on that way too soon. We had a lot of build up over how many episodes had we seen Joe and the Claimers?
We saw Joe and the Claimers in the second episode of the back half here. The second was that was Claimed, where first time we see him. That's when then Rick's under the bed. And then we got
him there.
We saw him about two more times, I think, after that.
And the way they kind of set it up about how they were going to be, how this was going to be that moral crossroads for Daryl, that I wanted to see more of as well. And I would have liked to have seen more kind of some of our theories that we had our last podcast about how... look, we know Joe is looking to get revenge on Rick, but if the two of them come into Terminus and have to be friends for a moment in order to kind of get away or become allies, just beef up that relationship a little bit more before we end up coming into this conflict to resolve. So for me, it just happened too fast, and I wish there would have been a little bit more. So that's why it's a bad for me.
Okay,
but. Okay, so now the ugly.
Ugly. My ugly is what your bad was. My ugly is good though. I thought the battle with the Claimers was awesome. I thought that I agree that it was a little fast, but I think it would have been a mistake to drag it on to next season also. So I'm kind of torn, But I think the reason I feel that way, and I'm guessing it's probably as you too, and you already basically said it, is that that guy, that actor that was playing Joe is just so freaking good.
Jeff Kober.
Oh my gosh, he's just so freaking good that he was just like you want to see him more. And him and Daryl were great together, and it would have been awesome to see him and Rick have some mental battles going on and some character development together. I agree with you. It's kind of a bit of a loss, but just as a funny side note, someone sent me a note today that here's some irony. Jeff Kober, is that how you pronounce it?
Yep.
He played a vampire on Buffy. I did not know that.
Huh.
And then he dies via a bite to the neck in Walking Dead. That's pretty
hysterical.
funny. Yeah. But anyway, so I thought it was a great sequence. I thought it was believable. The way it was shot was I thought particularly cool, especially when the gun goes off. He headbutts him, and the gun goes off, and you get that Rick sequence with the camera where, and remember I was talking last week about how the episode last week, just the camera just followed the story, and to me that's boring. You know what I mean? I want, part of what's great about the visual medium is to use the camera as a visual tool as part of the storytelling. And when all of a sudden the camera shifts, it shifts sideways, it gets woozy, the sound gets deadened because he's just had that gun go off in his ear, and the look in his eyes he's like going crazy, he's snapping. And that was just like the governor. When the governor hears Rick say, "We can make this work together. Everything can be forgiven. We can make this work," and the governor steps back from him, and then all of a sudden you see his point of view, and it gets woozy, and the camera goes around, and he says, "Liar," and he chops the head off, and it's just like he just snapped. And it's like it's the same thing, only in a different person who's going to handle it different and is doing it for a different reason, different purpose. Will be able to survive afterwards, not become crazy, but it was still the same phenomena. And that was cool. I thought that was really cool. And the whole bite sequence was just it was just so cool. I mean, it was just, I would say it was as good, if not better, than in the comic. It was just it was right on the money, and I totally believed that. I heard people were tweeting about how Daryl was getting his ass kicked, and how is he going to be able to step up after that and be able to and I was like, no. When he ripped that guy's neck out, first of all, it's like the alpha dog going down. All of a sudden, the other guys are like, wait a minute, who's in charge? You know what I mean? Second is, holy crap, this guy is something other than what we thought he was. You know what I mean? And it just gave all of the other players pause, and that opened up the opportunity for Michonne and for Daryl to recover and take over the situation. But and I thought Michonne and Daryl both did an amazing job, and Carl too, for that matter. I thought the actor did a really good job in this episode. The shock. You could just read it on everybody's faces. I mean, Michonne quick reacts and deals with the situation, and so does Daryl. But you can tell both of them are like, "What the hell did we just see?" You know what I mean?
But not only that, but later on when he goes up to the fat guy and doesn't just stab him, or stab, he stabs him, pulls it up.
He guts him first.
Yeah. I mean,
he just totally snaps. Yeah, and. That was just the second ugly good for me was, it still relates to that sequence because it was the whole opening. They've just their openings are just getting better and better, in my opinion. And the fact that we get that flashback and then it ends, we come back from that flashback and he's sitting there covered in the blood, shaking, alone, next to the car. You have no idea what's happened. I mean, that was like a Breaking Bad moment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did we see, not Mr. White, but the other one, Jesse. How many times we see Jesse in that kind of a scenario and then find out, what happened, But that was just, I thought that was really was really, really cool. So
I'm actually really surprised to hear you use a Breaking Bad reference, because usually you wait about 10 years after a show's off the air and then go back and watch it.
Yeah, Breaking Bad you guys got me onto it. I caught up, and then I actually watched the finale in real time.
Wow.
Yeah. But The Wire, I'm still on season 3. I'm like 5 years behind on that. I do love McNulty though.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so those were my goods. What ugly goods? What were your uglies?
My ugly was I like that scene too, even though it was I thought that the resolution of the whole Joe and the Claimers was short. I thought that was a really intense scene, and it was just it's just one of those things where you just see the depravity of man in We've talked about this before offline when we talk about how if the zombie apocalypse comes, the guys, the men and women who are going to survive it are going to be the people who are more street savvy. They're going to be the more blue collar than the white collar people, the aristocrats and the 1%. I don't have faith that the 1% is going to survive the zombie apocalypse much more than a couple days, but everybody else, the other denizens, the other ones that are down, not even the 99%, but the 5% that's towards the bottom end of the food chain, they are the ones who are going to survive, and those are the ones who are probably more susceptible to more baser instincts. And we see this time and time again when we come across little rogue bands of people. So Joe and the Claimers, as disgusting and horrible as it is about the thing that was about to befall Carl, that's humanity at its best, or not at its best, but that's human nature in the apocalypse. So that entire scene was just really intense, from the Joe having the gun at his head, and you thought there was gonna be a lot of posturing and I was expecting an entire act of some sort of retribution type torture and
right.
And they didn't. It was the gun went off, and like you said, the kind of shaky camera, and then it was on like Donkey Kong. And I even laughed how Daryl steps forward and is just, these are good people, leave them alone. You want blood, take blood out of me. And Joe's just like, all right, you're defending these people, kick his ass.
Right, you're a liar. That makes you a liar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Again, it worked great story-wise, in the way they, the code, and that worked out because, then you understood what was going to happen to Daryl when they, right. They really set things up great all season. Yeah. But I have to believe that given Joe's code and everything, if Rick explained the situation, what would Joe have done anything different if right. Joe was under that bed and he was just trying to get the hell out before he got killed by these guys?
That's what I was.
And the guy jumps him when he goes into the bathroom. The guy jumps on him, and they start fighting. He's fighting for his life. What's he supposed to do? Try and explain to the guy in the bathroom that's trying to kill him? Dude, I was just under the bed chilling. What the heck? No. He defended himself.
Right.
But
I was expecting. I was expecting some kind of confrontation like that to, kind of.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have believed it if they'd done it that way. And Joe, understood. I wouldn't. I was like, nah, Joe is a bad dude. He would, you know what I mean?
Well, it really would have dragged. The other thing is it really would have dragged the pace of the episode. Yeah. I thought that dude, seriously, watching this thing in real time, doing the live tweets. Dude, commercials are such momentum breakers. Good Lord.
They really are. And it just seemed like there was more than ever.
Oh, my gosh. As that episode kept going on, it seemed like they just got longer and longer. There were more of them. At least we got an X-Men commercial and a Planet of the Apes and a Transformers commercial.
Planet of the Apes looks wild, huh?
That looks good.
Yeah. I wish they would do 2-hour finales. But maybe, I don't know. Or an hour and a half, 90 minutes or something.
Well, hey, How I Met Your Mother, they did an entire hour, so.
There was a
clearly I have issues with that finale. But I got one more ugly, and my ugly is a good one, and that is the ugly that is Terminus. Holy cow. This is, when you describe people as being the mayor of crazy cuckoo Bananaville, this is the region. This is the area they're talking about. When Team Rick is running through the facilities, and you see that tarp filled with bones. Right. Holy cow, man! That was just even Gareth coming out and just being, the Jim Jones of the
right.
That Jim Jones type character. Holy, just that entire place is just creepy. So I'm really interested. Now we know who the wild cards are, right? Because who didn't show up to the party?
Right, Tyrese, Carol.
Exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see how that gets played out. But yeah, Terminus is just. But we talked about this last episode. So clearly they're in a nut house. Okay.
Well,
they came from.
No, I don't know, man. I mean, we got to talk about this. We got to hash this out because I was totally on board with you last week, and at the end of this episode, I was totally on board of it. And as I've watched and read a lot of the discussion online, I think we're being set up. I think we're being misdirected. Did you see the photo of the deleted scene? I'll send it to you. It's a deleted. No. There was a deleted scene, another room that they go into, and there's a picture of them charging into the room, and there's zombies that are chained up with a bunch of bones and meat and stuff in front of them, and that scene was edited out. Now, one possible scenario here is that we're being, they're really, it seems like they're going out of their way, the show is, to make these guys look like they could be cannibals, right? They got the meat cooking, you got the bones and other stuff, so you're like, and the hunters right around this time in the book, right. So everybody's like, cannibals. But there's another possible scenario here. This could be a filtering station. This could be a way station for another larger established community, and they're taking in new people here. They make the call for it out in the road or whatever, and people come here, and then they scope them out and they review them. And if you're good and you're going to fit, you move on to the established settlement. If you're bad, like Joe's guys or something, you get fed to zombies. And all the leftover bones were piled out in that pile. You know what I mean? And it's like, we don't know what happened with the other group. Maybe they did something. Maybe they panicked as well and started to, and so they got thrown in this can while they try to sort out what the situation is with them. We don't know. We don't know how they got in the can, why they're in the can, what's going on. You know what I mean? But I think there's a potential here for a lot of misdirection. They really want us to think they're cannibals, so that makes me think maybe they're not.
That's interesting. All right.
I don't know. It's just.
Still doesn't change the fact that Terminus is creepy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That whole place is
absolutely. And I think they've done a great job, of communicating that weirdness, that eeriness.
I mean, we didn't even have to see Rick with his super bionic vision, seeing the watch on that guy. All you had to see was Daryl's poncho making an appearance on some other chick, and then the body armor on that other guy, and go, okay.
There's a guy on Twitter that I follow, Jason Borum, at Jason_2Horde, TOHORED. And he tweeted a link to a blog post that he did where he speculates that Gareth, who I guess Kirkman is on record as saying is a combination of characters from the comic, but he did not articulate who, is actually a mix of Aaron, who was the scout for Alexandria, and Jesus, who watches over the safe zone. I don't know about that, but the Aaron quality makes sense given what we've seen so far. At the end of the day, this is his theory. At the end of the day, Gareth is going to become a major character and strong ally to Rick and his people. The Terminus is a way station for a settlement. Their job is bringing in new people after their review. And I can see some of the similarities between Gareth and his intro and Aaron's. Do you remember when we meet Aaron on the road, there's this whole thing about, and even Gareth even says, I understand, Rick, you now because of what you've seen here, not knowing any context for anything, you don't trust us now. I understand. And that's what Aaron says to him. Remember when they meet him on the road? He's like, I understand. He beats him up and they tie him up. And he's like, dude, I understand. You don't trust me. You know what I mean? And I thought it makes sense.
It makes sense too, because when they first came in, it was put your weapons on the ground, and then they checked them out. Then they're like, all right, take your weapons back.
Right.
So, okay.
So I thought he really I thought he had an interesting idea on that. So I wanted to give him some props. I tweeted him and asked if I could share that, and he encouraged me to do so. So I thought I would. So good job, Jason. I thought that was a cool insight.
All right. Now you got me thinking.
Yeah. I definitely think Carol and Tyrese will show up and help them escape that can.
Oh yeah. Especially with the weapons that are left, that are in the that little hole that Rick dug.
Yeah. If I had any other notes, I'll post that picture at the Facebook page of them running into that room. But it would make sense that they would delete that scene because it undermines the whole cannibal vibe.
Yeah.
But it would have explained where the zombies. Why was there no zombies there? Because they've obviously got that in check, and they've, whatever. Did you have a zombie of the week?
I actually kind of like that. I like the effect of the zombie that was in the ground when
that was kind of cool.
Get to the car and Michonne puts the katana through its head. There was something about that one that just stuck in my head. So
yeah, that was cool.
One.
I didn't have a zombie of the week because there just wasn't that many, but that was a good one. I'd forgotten about that one, but I thought the bones in the pen that you mentioned, it was just horrifying. And what was even more horrifying was that you didn't see, like, oh, look at that, bones in the pen. Right. Wow, what do you think that is, Rick? I don't know. What do you think that is, Michonne? They were running for their lives as they're being herded, and they're running by this thing, and you see it, and you can see, even in the pictures, the stills that are online, you can see that Carl, it turns and he's like looking directly at the bones as he's running, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, Carl's like, WTF? What the heck is that? But so that was cool.
I didn't have a zombie kill of the week, but I was going to say that lone guy getting chewed on was that was pretty good.
I thought Michonne had a couple quick, nice takedowns at the train tracks. That I always love to see her when she gets going with that sword, and it was awesome that the way that he tells them to get in the car, and he's like, "All right, ringleader, you first.
Yep.
All right, samurai, you go." Okay, Archer, now you go. The kid, I got to work. I got to work that into my my artwork for this. And character of the week, I had Rick. No, hands down.
Yeah, I agree.
So
definitely,
that was it. Overall, I thought it was really one of the best finales, if not the best. And a few little hiccups, but overall, excellent episode and a fantastic season. Definitely my most favorite season so far.
Yeah, they definitely had a good one here. So, we just got to wait until,
long way off until October. Long. It's almost 7 months. April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Oh my God!
It's an entire baseball season.
That's wild, man. I remember that about The Sopranos. When I was watching The Sopranos, and that it would go and be like, oh my God. It's just, and then I think there was one season with The Sopranos where it was during the writer's strike. And it ended up being 12 months. It was like a year before the next installment.
So this is why you gave up watching shows in real time?
That and commercials. Jesus. Having watched DVR and Netflix and
oh my gosh.
HBO Go, now it's like, oh my God, when I have to sit and watch an actual... I even hate watching on demand now. Sometimes we'll watch shows on the demand that are, so we didn't DVR them, but you can go on cable and go on to demand and you can get recent shows from almost all the networks and everything. But those you can't fast forward.
Yeah.
Oh God, hate it.
All right, so we got a couple emails that we want to give shout outs to. This is a two-parter from John Singleton. So John writes in on Friday. He said, I enjoy your Walking Dead podcast. I guess I'm drinking the Kool-Aid because I'm following you on Twitter, too. Which is what we like to hear.
Yeah. We gotta get more people drinking the Kool-Aid.
No doubt. The podcast cracks me up as I listen to it each week. Keep up the great work. I love the fact that people crack up when they listen to us. Either...
I hope they're laughing with us and not at us.
Yeah.
But after tonight, I think they're probably going to be laughing at me. At being the proverbial at.
So his prediction on Friday was that I think that Carol may get killed saving Rick this week. Daryl will hunt the others down that killed her. Carol's group is the wild card no one is talking about. I think they will play a major part next week. And then he brings up an interesting thing.
It didn't turn out to be that, but I thought that was an excellent observation on his part. I think, and I would love for them to, and I think I responded to him on this online or on the email. I would love for them to take that idea of Carol sacrificing herself somehow to save Rick. I just think that would be a really cool end to their chapter,
Well, I don't think
it's booting her out, and then here she turns around and saves him.
Well, that's the thing, is that she's going to, her and Tyrese are clearly the wild cards, but what a shock it's going to be, seeing Carol, because he booted her out. Now she's teamed up with Tyrese. Oh, wait, but does he know that, that you did? But then again, given the way, he responds to seeing people that he thinks are dead, he just may not pass it off.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hey, Carol.
What's up, guys? What up? Oh, is that my daughter? Oh, how cool is that? Awesome. Hey, can you babysit for her? Because I'm busy.
So John continued on saying, I would like to see more wild animals, like large wolf packs taking down walkers and people. It would be another thing the survivors would have to worry about. Love to see a bear rip apart and feast on a couple of walkers.
That is such a cool idea. I don't know about doing it against walkers, but I would love to see them have to deal with like a pack of wolves, I mean, there have been lots of shows recently about like what'll happen to if man. Remember there was an episode on, I don't know what show it was, the Nature Channel or something. They did this documentary about what would happen if man was all of a sudden gone. Like,
yeah.
Did you see that? Like how quickly the buildings would deteriorate, how quickly things would get overgrown. And then they talked about animals, how quickly they would like start to, with no predator, they would just start, deers would be overrunning and wolves then would come in to do that. And it would everything would get incredibly wild and crazy in terms of the animal population. And I bet that would be happening. We're almost 2 years in now, or at least a year in, right? To this apocalypse.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because even in the comic books, it's the animals are something that aren't really discussed. And there's one comic book that I've talked about before on either this show or on when we were on the other one. It's Rex Zombie Killer.
Yeah, about the dog.
Yeah, it's about a team. It's actually a team of animals. There's a baseball bat wielding gorilla who escaped from a lab like in San Francisco, and then there's a couple dogs, a cat, partridge in a pear tree, whatever. But and they're fighting. They're trying to get to where I think the dog knows that his human is at, and they encounter while they're trying to stay away from zombies. Can't remember what they call them. They don't call them biters. Can't remember what they call them. Rotters, I think. That will grab them and eat them if they can, but they also come across animals, and like John says, you'd love to see a bear rip apart a couple of walkers. But I remember there was an issue. Rob Anderson's the writer who had there was a zombie bear. Like he's the animal's zombified. So
right.
That's the only medium that I know of where they actually talk about animals being affected by the same kind of thing. All right, so at the end of this, I just thought it was funny that John says, please ignore my random commas or periods or my run-on sentences. I throw them in as often as I see fit.
So he writes like me.
Exactly.
I hear you, John.
I'll get these emails from Kirk. There'll be like colons and semicolons and.
Listen, I use punctuation. I'm an artist. I use punctuation like paint or like color. I throw it in where it looks good. You know what I mean? That's how it should be. Damn, that's just like stuff should be spelled the way it sounds, not like, what's all these I's in island and shit, or S's. I mean, in island.
Yeah, right. If it's not pronounced, it shouldn't.
Yeah, if it's not pronounced, it's not there. The hell.
So then today, John follows up with, I like following your tweets through the show, but I'm so focused on the episode that I don't have time to tweet my thoughts. Dude, I know. I feel your pain, man.
I hear you, brother.
Really enjoyed the episode. I was a little off of my guess this week. Very, very tense moments. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. When Rick's group got captured, then all went to hell in a hurry. Poor Carl getting or almost getting raped by that guy. And then he goes, that reminded me of the first time I saw Deliverance with Ned Beatty squealing like a pig. Disturbing. It says banjo music still makes me jumpy to this day. It makes Kirk jumpy too.
Funny story from my childhood. I don't know what my parents were thinking, but they took me to see that movie. I guess it was, how like back in the, this is what there were just buggies were just done. I think they're just you crank the cars, you crank the phones, everything was cranked. No, they didn't have the review systems that you have now. You didn't have, as much information. You could only see things in the movies. There wasn't streaming. There wasn't DVDs. There wasn't even VHS or anything like that. If you didn't go see it in the theater, you didn't see it. So and this was like a big movie at the time. Deliverance was huge in terms of, popularity and everything. I was like,
a lot different from the Silence that you grew up on.
I was like 8 years old. I was
to see Deliverance when you saw 8 years old?
Yes, I was shocked. I was like so emotionally wrecked after that. I could not go south of like Michigan for like till I was like in my 20s, I mean, oh my God. Anyway,
I am not going south of Ann Arbor.
That's right.
So John continues with, I like the fact Rick is coming to terms with his dark side. I was surprised they didn't scout Terminus out for a few days before going in. I agree with you. Maybe watch other people go in first. Other than that, it was a strong send-off to a great season. Looking forward to your podcast this week. I may have to journey down to Atlanta for Walker Stalker Con now. Dude, if you go down there, well, first of all, you got to prove it, so we need to see pictures. And,
It does sound like they're fun, man. They just had the one in Chicago. And I guess it was a huge success too. But that Atlanta one is big.
Yeah, that one's huge.
Because they showed on there.
John finishes up with, random thought. Wasn't Deliverance supposed to take place in Georgia? It was. I think it took place in Terminus, actually.
We got some correspondence from Kathleen, our super fan. So what did you think about the season finale, she said. Well, if you've been listening, you've heard I thought, what did you think, Kathleen? I thought it was good, but not great. Don't get me wrong. I thought some of it was great, but not the whole thing. So here's my rundown. The good. It was great to finally see Rick start to become the badass that he can be. Totally agree. I also love the flashback scenes. Jeff, not so much. Me, totally agree. Thought it was funny that Patrick was playing with toys while a younger Carl was cleaning guns. You were just talking about that. Yeah, that was funny. That was great. Did you notice that he was cleaning his cleaning mat was a child's coloring book? Yeah, that was funny. The bad. Joe's group at it again. Poor Carl. So glad these a-holes got it in the end. Or got it in the neck, I guess, really.
And the gut.
In the gut. Oh, that's right. I think I've blacked that out. I think that was just so disturbing that I keep blacking that out. I can't get past the neck bite. The ugly. Kathleen says it's a good ugly. Rick going all buffet on Joe's neck was pretty sweet. I heard Andrew Lincoln was saying that on the show last night on Talking Dead that Nicotero came up to him. All the week prior he kept coming up to him and saying, we gotta talk about that bite. We gotta talk about what we're gonna do there. And he's like, all right. So finally, he's like, well, what's the big deal? He says, well, I gotta set it up. We're gonna build a prosthetic on the guy's neck and everything else. And I just need to know chicken or beef. And Lincoln's like, what are you talking about? He's like, chicken or beef. And he goes, what do you? He says, for the way I set it up, because it's got to be, it's something you can actually eat, and it's got to look like meat, because you're going to put it in your mouth. So, chicken or beef. He's like, I guess chicken. And he goes, raw or cooked? And he said, well, if we're going to be really authentic, let's do raw. So they did raw chicken as the propping in there. First of all, salmonella. Can you say salmonella? But
you can say it, I can't spell it.
There's a comma in it. I know that. S-A-L, comma. It should be called Salad Vanilla. That's what I can spell it then. Anyway, Jesus Christ, now I can't remember what I was talking about. But anyway, so then he said that. So when they were doing the shoot, he said it was 4 a.m. in the morning. They shot that.
Wow.
Why? I don't know. But the 4 a.m. in the morning, and he had to bite into this thing. He said it was all he could do to not throw up.
Oh, I bet.
He said he kept gagging on it, you know. Oh, it's just, I guess it was a really tough scene to shoot. Anyway, I have no zombie kill of the week again because it was light this week on zombies. We thought so too. Although the zombies tearing up the random guy with the glasses was cool. Yeah, but I'll tell you, Kathleen, if you have any idea what that was for or why it was there, please enlighten us because I'm still clueless. Did you guys notice while the group was getting mazed through Terminus that there was a pile of fresh human bones sitting there? Yeah, we did. At first, I thought the snipers were just really bad shots.
A lot of people did.
Yeah.
And Twitter was just like, these guys suck with rifles.
Yeah, I agree. But I guess that they got their jobs done. Thanks, guys, for keeping me entertained. Talk to you later. She also wrote a follow-up letter suggesting, because we had asked for suggestions on what we should do on the off-season. So Kathleen suggested 1, talk about your introduction to the horror genre. That's a good idea. 2, discuss books, games, and movies that are zombie horror related. I think we're definitely going to work that out. We're going to talk here in a minute about that. Have super fans like me on your show who are nuts about the cool stuff mentioned above. That's a shame.
Did she actually put like me on there?
She did. Parentheses. That is, I think they're parentheses, right? Or are those big commas?
Jeez. Good Lord.
On a related note, I just had to say that I really do enjoy your podcast. Normally, I wait until I get to work, 6 a.m. Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow. And to listen, but the past 2, I have stayed up late to listen because I can't wait. I'm glad I'm like a kid at Christmas. So thank you for the lack of sleep, but it is so worth it to listen to you guys talk about subjects that I could listen to and talk about for hours on end. Love you guys.
I don't know.
That's awesome.
6 o'clock in the morning, our voices at 6 a.m. Wow.
So anyway, that's great, Kathleen.
Kathleen, you are officially
psyched.
nominated for a sainthood. Then
you are a super fan, and we love that you get such a kick out of it, and we're just gonna keep doing it for you here, hopefully. And that's it for the letters.
All right.
News items. I had a couple, just 2 small ones. Did you have any?
I didn't have any.
We were just talking before we got started that we want to work with our technical people, Rob at Southgate Media, to do some intros maybe for sections. Like we need a news section intro. You know, we need a letter section intro. But anyway,
like sound of a typewriter going in the background.
Something, something cool, something different. The Jason and Karen one is funny. They have like news bulletins that are being reported. I don't know if you've listened to it recently, and they have the sheriff in the Night of the Living Dead who's being interviewed, and he's like, "Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up." Actress Alana Masterson and Christina Serratos that play Tara and Rosita have been officially bumped to full cast for season 5. So I guess Tara is going to be around. There goes my theory. Although I wouldn't be surprised. It's becoming clear that they don't look at this. They look at the season as a whole, but they really look at it in 2 8-story installments. Right. So I wouldn't just because people have been signed on, because the other one was Andrew J. West, who played Gareth, has also been upgraded to full cast for season 5. To me, that just
becoming a conspiracy theorist. He's not buying anything at face value anymore.
I'm not becoming.
That's true.
I've been absolutely conspiracy theorist. I'm X-Files man, but the Illuminati are reporting that. You like how I segued right into that?
Nice.
But anyway, so that's good news. I'm Tara's growing on me. I really liked Gareth, even though he had just a little intro. He seemed really captivating and cool, and of course, Rosita is really hot. No, she's also had some better lines than she did in the first episode she was in. So
they definitely need to do, and they need to do something with both of those.
Well, they've got look at all the people in that can. I mean, they got a big cast again now.
That's true.
That's I don't know. That's going to be interesting what happens there. Plus, it's there's a lot of women.
Well, let's just are we gonna start taking bets as to who gets the T-Dog treatment? Who gets T-Dog?
Well, because of this season, because of this back half, no one's getting T-Dogged except maybe Rosita and Abraham, but they've just been introduced. They really only have been in 2 episodes, and even those were shared episodes with other storylines. So, in all fairness, there couldn't possibly have been much development on them. But everybody else has been so fleshed out. I mean, we lose anybody now, that's going to be a significant loss. There was an interview with Scott Gimple. Oh God, and I apologize. I didn't mark down who it was with. Someone sent me the link and I was reading it. But he had an interesting quote. He said, "I will say, and maybe we were being too clever by half, but in the first episode at the prison, there's a woman at the grill flipping meat. That was Carol. So in some ways, this place," meaning Terminus, "was supposed to echo the prison. I suppose if it was a different situation, people would have walked into the prison and seen Carol and gone, oh my God, these people are cannibals." So they were asking him, basically, why do you think everyone's jumping to that conclusion, and he's like, I don't know, if you were look at, the prison situation back at the beginning of the season and you didn't know better, you'd like, where are they getting the meat from? You know what I mean? They don't, so it was kind of interesting.
All right.
You didn't have any news?
Nope, I had no news. I had I think I either sent you or I had posted the thing about the 2 actresses getting re-upped. So
right.
That's about all I had.
Did you read issue 124?
The latest one last week. Yes, I did.
So we can talk just for a minute about that. So anybody who doesn't want to get spoiled, we're going to talk about the comic now, issue 124. So, what did you think? Because we talked last week about the fact that he got the bolt in the back, and was it zombie gooped?
Well, I had one big problem with this issue, and that's that. There's this tense thing being built up, and I think that we pretty much we sussed it out. We pretty much guessed it that that Rick hadn't been hit with an infected arrow. But now it was interesting that there's these people who'd been stabbed or cut or slashed, whatever. And they're getting sewn up, but wait, they're still developing symptoms. They're still getting fevers. That's basically the chemical attack,
right?
The biological attack that they had suffered. The only problem I had with the issue was that when Michonne and was she out with Jesus?
Yep.
And they were walking, and she was like, "Hey, what's that?" And they happened to find a dagger with dried blood on it that was just too convenient. I mean, I make it more of a mystery kind of thing. It's like they just had it figured out too quickly.
I wouldn't have wanted it to be a mystery for a long time. I'm glad that it got uncovered when it did. I agree with you. I had a hard time believing that they would suss that together from just picking up weapon. I mean, the weapons were all over the place. They just had a battle. They were all covered in mud, blood, guts, everything.
And it was like they were just walking around the corner when I think Michonne I think Michonne looked down and was like, "Is that and looking right at it? Come on."
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a little bit convenient, but but it was cool too that Rick is just so bent that he thinks Dwight is completely stabbed him in the back essentially.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, exactly. And so I thought it was cool the whole way that they set. Well, one complaint is that it went from last issue being full day out,
right,
to this issue, the same battle, almost at the exact same point. It's pitch black.
Right.
So that was a little bothering, but they did that because of the cool thing that Team Rick does with Michonne and Ezekiel in the cars, and they put on the headlights at the last minute and catch them all off guard and then shoot them from above, and that was cool. Yeah. I think that one thing that Walking Dead has always done is these kind of cool setups for these traps or cool plans for how to deal with stuff, and they don't let you. He doesn't, Kirkman doesn't let you know. And sometimes they've been a little repetitive in terms of the way it's been. Like when Maggie showed up and saved them, it was very similar to when Andrea showed up at the prison and stuff like that. But this was cool. This was kind of a neat new way to do it. I really thought that was cool. I like too that it seems like Eugene. They're really starting to have Eugene step up and start to man up. And
how different is it to see? It's so weird to see Eugene. Now, granted, this is issue 124, and all the stuff that's taking place in the show, comic book continuity wise, is roughly 50 something. But it's so weird to see the Eugene, dope character on the
TV show,
on the TV show versus how he's developing in the comic book. So it's
well, you got to remember. Yeah, I agree. And the two of them next to each other just don't jibe at this point. But that's, I think, really because Eugene started out very much like that. He was a goofy,
right,
useless kind of, lying dude. And I think two things happened. One, Abraham got taken out. And I think that was a big shock for him. And it was almost kind of like, he had to now step up. He didn't have that big daddy guy, for him. And then Rosita isn't it Rosita that's got a crush on him now, right? It's kind of liking him.
Yeah.
And that's got to be, and because he likes her. Mm-hmm. And so that, is building his confidence too. And I think the two of those things combined has made his character evolve a little bit and start to man up and say, I'm going to have to do more to survive here. And it was pretty cool when he snaps at that kid in the car when he's like, doesn't want to like go any further. And the guy's like, well, then get the hell out of the car, man, because we're going. That was a very
Rick moment for him.
Yes, it was. And in fact, when he looks back at him, I'm looking at the panel right now. It looks like Rick with just a wig on.
Yeah. But, well, we've got what? We've got 2 more issues in this run, right?
Yeah, in the All Out War. Yeah.
And then we've got that mysterious cover with that female at some point.
Yeah, that's 20. That's 27, I think, which I believe is a double issue. Yeah. It's a double size issue, and everyone is, banking on that being a
flash forward, like Judith in the future.
Something totally different. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what they're going to do here. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to kill everybody off in the war and then go in another direction, or whether that's just they're just doing that in order to not let us know who lives and who dies, in the war.
Maybe we go over. Maybe
because those covers
leave Georgia. Yeah, maybe we leave Georgia and we go over to Walking Dead West Coast.
Yeah, well, we're in DC in the comic, but yes, I know. I understand what you mean.
All right.
So that's it for this week's episode, but we just want to talk one more minute about what we're going to do going forward. All right.
So what we clearly have, like I said, we got an entire baseball season off before Walking Dead comes back, and Kirk and I clearly. We like hearing ourselves talk, so we're going to.
Well, I like hearing me talk. I could I could go either way with listening to you, but.
So what we're planning on doing is we'll do like one podcast a month, and actually, like Kathleen had brought up, we're going to not just talk about zombies and stuff, but we'll probably open up and talk about the horror genre as well when it comes to books and movies, especially movies, and talk about the stuff that we see out there. One of the things we were talking about for our next episode, and we'll tell you about the stuff that we'll talk about extras as well, but pretty much we'll give you a lineup as to what we're thinking about doing for the next episode, so you can you're not completely surprised.
You can play along at home.
That's right.
If you want to see the stuff in advance or something, or read the books.
So what we're going to do is the movies we're going to talk about on the next episode. Our next episode will be the movie Pontypool, which is a zombie movie, and it's made an appearance on, I think it's 2007 or 2008 movie, and it's on a bunch of lists of top 20, top 25 zombie movies.
And you can stream it on Netflix if you've got Netflix. So if you want to watch it before we do our review.
Yep. And that's the thing too, because we do want you to play along at home. So we'll try to find stuff that you can stream easily off of Hulu or Netflix or Crackle. We'll do Cabin in the Woods too by Joss Whedon, and Let the Right One In, which is there's actually two versions, but I would recommend, because I've seen it before and I'm gonna watch it again. Watch the original Swedish version. It's a vampire movie, and it's one of my favorite vampire movies. It's awesome.
Now, I'm really worried about this because I have to read subtitles, and that could really be a problem.
This is how you take a 2-hour movie and turn it into 6 for Kirk. You put subtitles.
Wait a minute. Pause. I got to read that one again.
Too many syllables. And then I think we're going to talk about Stephen King's Cell as well.
Cell, the book Cell, which is soon to be a feature film too. I think Cell has always been a very underappreciated zombie novel. Well, I hadn't heard anything really about it until they reviewed it on Jason and Karen reviewed it on the Walking Dead cast, and that got me interested in it. So I picked it up recently, read it, and it was really good. It's got some interesting twists in it that I really liked in terms of the traditional zombie story. So that'll be fun.
So that's.
We may also have a special guest. We're talking. There's a couple. Possibilities for some special guests, and also I wanted to mention to people that I'm going to be on. There's this comic book podcast that's a spin-off of the Walking Dead cast. It's called Under the Comic Covers, and Gracie Lou and Mr. Blog, who are regulars on the Walking Dead cast, do that show. And they're going to be covering issue 127, the double issue, on the week that it comes out. And I believe that's the week of May 14th, I think. But you can check on their website under the comic covers. I think it's .com. And they're going to have me on to talk about, they do a top 5, or actually I think they do a top 3 regularly, but because it's a double issue, they're going to do a top 5. So I'll be on that as a guest. Hopefully you guys will check it out. And I'll be sure to give Biters a shout out.
And if you've got movie recommendations or book recommendations, anything, write into us at biterspodcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet at biterspodcast. The Facebook page, just reach out to us, let us know.
Yep.
And we'll keep you up to date with all the Walking Dead news and things that we come across.
Yeah, that'll be definitely part of it too, because I'm sure there will be a constant buzz for the next 7 months on the news wire about stuff with the show. And
John Singleton, if you go down to Atlanta for Walker Stalker Con, or anybody else who goes to a con and gets a picture with one of the cast, by all means, send us a picture. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, we'll give it a shout out too. And if you're looking for any zombie comic book stuff, check out Z Girl and the Four Tigers at zgirl.org. You can pick up copies of that book that Jeff and I co-create, and we think you'll if you like the zombie genre, we really did a real twist on it there with a female zombie lead who's teamed up with 4 ancient Chinese warrior spirits, and they work for the good guys in the Department of Irregular Warfare. So want to check that out.
Yeah, that's about all I got.
And then, of course, Southgate Media and all the podcasts that they've got going. Holy cow, it is like the family is growing. It is huge now. I don't even know how many shows there are, like 25, 26.
It seems like every time there's a new show that comes out, they've got a new podcast. If you're a fan of The Americans, which is a great show on FX, you can head on over to Comrades, which is on SouthgateMediaGroup.com, where I podcast along with my buddy and fellow screenwriter Scott Malkus. Also, check out this podcast's sponsors, Tweaked Audio, for all of your earbud needs. and Entertainment Earth for all of your Walking Dead toy and novelty needs.
Yeah. All right, guys. All right, biters.
Now comes the long winter. Oh, wait, we got Game of Thrones coming up this week. So
yeah, I'm behind. There's another one. I got to get on
Shocking.
that. Now I got HBO Go. I should do that because they got the whole series on there. I should go back and start from the beginning on that.
And if you're a Game of Thrones fan, Southgate Media has a podcast for that as well. So be sure to check that out. On that note, I think that's all we got.
All right,
you guys. See everybody.
So we'll see you probably around the first week of May. That's what we're shooting for. To be probably approximately the first week of each month for the next 7 months or 6 months.
But definitely stay in touch with us, email and Facebook and Twitter and everything, and we will do the same.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.